Okay, everybody, today we have a very special guest with us, somebody that I have been wanting to get behind this camera before I ever even started this project. I have been friends with Paige here for many, many years, since high school actually, and her story is one of the most significant to my life, and I just knew that I really wanted to share hers with you. She wanted to share hers with you. So yeah, we're gonna just jump right into it. So Paige, tell us about where you grew up, where you from, who your mama and them.
My mama and them, well, sweet lady, lives in Florida. My dad,
She from Florida?
no, she's from here.
Okay.
But they're both from here. My dad lives in Picayune. Grew up here in Poplarville, 26 years old. Lived a lot of life in a short amount of time. And with this story, I no way condone or glorify addiction or use or abuse or that kind of lifestyle or any bad thing, whatever. Always, we should live the right way.
Disclaimer. Okay, you're giving us a disclaimer.
Yeah. Because everybody needs that, because you can get to talking about something and and you'll think that, somebody's trying to glorify it or something, but nobody's trying to glorify it here.
Okay, so what are you doing this video primarily for?
Primarily for, I see a lot of people that are from this town that have gone through a lot of the things that I've gone through and will continue to, because it's just a small town. There's nothing better to do. And I just wanted to know that there's people that can speak for them even when they won't speak for themselves. Like one of the recent friends that I think we've all lost here in Poplarville. And I feel like she would have had a lot to say if she could have said it. But, sometimes you're just muted by life.
Okay.
So.
Okay. All right, so let's start from the beginning again. So about where you grew up, what was that like? Who were you with the most?
Well, I was with my grandparents the most. Mm-hmm. On a dairy farm and all, and I grew up rough.
You had a dairy farm?
Well, they had a dairy farm. I didn't,
yeah,
obviously. But
so how old were you when y'all ran the dairy farm?
I was probably from the time I was born to about maybe 3. It wasn't very long, but we stayed on that property. We just sold the main part and stayed on that property, which a lot of people around here grow up on farms and they have country living, and they don't know anything other than what they know. And that's pretty much how I grew up, just working, and there's always something to do.
Okay, farm life, gotcha. All right, so you say you were raised primarily by your grandparents. Where was mom and dad?
My mom worked in school a lot. She worked in, after that, she came here to Poplarville and worked in the salon here. After what?
After, you said...
After she went to school. She went to school
for... So she went to school. You stayed with the grandparents while she was in school for the most part. Where was Dad at this point?
He was in Poplarville. He was around. They split up when I was small.
Okay.
So.
Okay. So, when your mom came back from school, what did she do?
Well, she went to school for massage therapy, and one of the spas down here, or the hair salons down here, had a opening for a massage therapist, so she got into that and everything, and then eventually after that we ended up moving to North Mississippi for a while. I want to say a couple years. I don't really remember how long.
You and your mom did?
Yeah.
And how long were you there for?
I know I moved there in 3rd grade, maybe. Yeah, 3rd grade, and I came back in 4th grade, so I guess it was only 2 years.
Okay, so you so you lived in Poplarville all your life up until about 3rd grade, and then she moved you to North Mississippi. How did you like that?
I hated it because I was away from, I'm an only child, but I grew up with my cousins like most people do down here, and miss them.
Right. Okay. So what was it like up there? What did you get in? What were your hobbies up there? Was there any? Do you remember anything specific about living up there?
Mainly just missing down here. Yeah. And looking back on it now, it's crazy, to miss down here. But I didn't really miss down here. I just missed the people,
family.
Like most do.
Okay. So after you moved back, What was your life like then whenever y'all came back?
Well, I moved back in 4th grade, and when I moved back, like, really nobody knew me. And, even before then, I was kind of like, I wasn't friends with everybody, I wasn't popular or anything, I tried to get along with everybody, but...
Why do you think you weren't popular? Or what society deems popular?
Well, I mean, as you can see, I don't fit the norm of what a female should look like. I show my ankles and stuff. But no.
Okay, I just got that.
But no, it was more of I always dressed like a tomboy. I was a tomboy. I had short hair. I didn't fit in with the norm, Even in North Mississippi, it's still Mississippi. So, didn't matter where I went, still out of place.
Okay. And what do you mean by out of place?
I mean, I didn't have the Aeropostale clothes. I didn't have, nice shoes. I wore hand-me-downs or, cheap, thrift store clothes. And I had my hair cut short. I dressed like a boy, acted like a boy, was very quiet, So people just didn't attract to that. It wasn't their thing.
Okay. All right, so fast forward, so you're in approximately 5th grade by now. So do you remember anything in particular or anything special from that time up to high school, or what's the next thing that happened to you once you got back? The next big thing.
Well, skip past a lot of trauma and life lessons as a small child, because everybody has those, whatever. But
any you care to share?
Well, the fact that my mom's gay, and my grandparents were hardcore Pentecostal, very strict, and me being me, I'm not going to have long hair. I'm not going to wear a dress. Even when I did, try to become, religious, try to find myself in that way, like whenever I moved back here, like we were talking about in 5th grade, I tried to readapt and everything, and my grandparents thought maybe it was a good way to readapt to go to church with them and get into youth and all that. But honestly, down here in the South, like, church and youth, it's kind of toxic. Like, a lot of kids really were just go to church to mingle with their friends and their boyfriends and stuff.
Because they didn't have anywhere else to go, maybe?
Exactly, yeah, maybe. But, why don't we just make another church? But, yeah, so...
So what was church life like?
What was it like? Terrifying. I mean, honestly, terrifying. I mean, that's where I discovered what anxiety was. Like, I mean, I got baptized by a preacher that eventually got kicked out of the church because he cheated on his wife. And that's the man that baptized me, so does the baptism really even count? Like, does it really even count, or am I still just out here, in the tainted world, tainting it up? Like, I'm just saying,
Okay.
But.
So, is there any other instances from church that you want to elaborate on?
And, I guess fast forward maybe to, obviously more trauma. My life is nothing but trauma, let's just throw it out there. Nothing but trauma. But only the best people have the most traumatic lives, It really builds the soul. But, I don't know, I grew up with some abusive family members. We'll say it that way. Some abusive family members, and me and my cousins had to deal with that all the time. I remember going to church and coming home and it'd be just hell broke loose.
Like what?
Like, I mean, my family member would just, get belligerently drunk and, want to beat on his kids or, their kids, and just put us all through hell, really, raise hell with my grandma and grandpa. And, my grandma was an angel. She, never had anything bad to say about anybody, and it was just heartbreaking to watch, their kid put them through that, and there was just never peace growing up for any of us. So that's a pretty traumatic situation in itself.
And how long did that last, the abuse of that family member?
Up until I got out of the military, really. Okay. Up until recently.
Okay, so let's slow down. High school. Let's start with high school. What was high school like?
Awkward. The only way that I really found my spot in high school was to be in band. And I made my band friends, and then from my band friends, being friends with other people, it kind of brought me into being friends with other people. Other than that, I really just stayed to myself and, talked to my weird little band friends. And
what'd you play?
Trumpet.
Were you any good?
Damn sure good.
I wonder if I know that. All right. Okay. So, yeah. Weird high school upbringing. Okay. What'd you do after high school?
Well, since 8th grade, I was with a girl, and after high school, I tried to go to college, but it didn't work out, and so I ended up dropping out and joining the Air Force. And I went through all the training and everything and became a cop or MP and came back home after all that and married my girlfriend since, my high school sweetheart, whatever, and moved to Nebraska.
So you went into Air Force basic training, you came home, married your best friend, and then you moved to Nebraska. Why?
That's where I was stationed.
Okay, so you were stationed in Nebraska.
Yeah.
Okay, and what was that like?
Freezing cold. Terrible.
What part of Nebraska?
Omaha.
Of course.
The best part.
Of course.
I guess.
All right. So, what was the military like? Being you.
Being me, I still feel very out of place because most of these people came from very structural backgrounds, and the ones that didn't make it. And I made it for as long as I could. Yeah.
What happened?
Well, I don't like to put blame on anything because I feel like every person should take up for their mistakes. You should just hold on to, well, not hold on, but hold up. Yeah, hold up to your own. But I guess in a waterfall or tumbleweed or whatever, a snowball of events that happened to me, my grandma died. And my grandma was the center of my world. And I came home on leave, and we rolled one up for the homies, pour one out for the homies, whatever. But went back and got drug tested, and bam. But there's a lot more that went with that, and that's pretty much what the story's about.
Okay, so let's dive into that.
Yeah, that's a big dive. So hold your breath. But there's a lot of circumstances leading up to everything. There's, of course, past events that, would lead up to things, and we won't necessarily get into those. But all in all, it was more of peer pressure, I guess, and who you hang out with. That all is what it boils down to because, with me going through what I was going through, I got court-martialed, and I got, literally in front of freaking court like you would see on TV, but like hardcore because it's court-martialed. It's the military. Right. And that was the scariest probably thing in my life. And
wait, so slow down. What happened? Okay, so your grandmother passed away. You came back from Nebraska to Poplarville for the funeral. You smoked some weed in Poplarville, went back to Nebraska, and what?
Got drug tested.
Okay, they drug tested you, and you failed for weed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what did they do right after that?
Tore my house apart right after that.
Wow.
Yeah.
On what grounds?
That I might have something in there. It's the military. Okay. I was in military housing, so.
Oh, okay. So they tore your house apart, and did they find anything?
No. Luckily, my wife at the time got out because she noticed some suspicious activity outside and was like, we need a dip. So dipped with all the other stuff.
Other stuff being?
Paraphernalia, etc.
Okay. So, all right. So after that, they tore your house apart. Then what?
Well, they pretty much detained me and took me to an interrogation room and all this crazy stuff, and it was really wild. And what's crazy is I smoked the day before with one of the people on my flight, and she got the whole squadron got drug tested that day, but she didn't fail somehow. So I'm thinking I was set up, really. I'm thinking it was just all a setup. I don't know.
Why do you feel that way?
Maybe paranoia, maybe because it kind of looked like that. I don't know. Because, I mean, smoked the day before, come on, dude. And now she's a K-9 unit.
Oh, okay.
Now she's doing,
So you think maybe she could have put a word in, maybe?
to get herself to higher places, yes.
Right. Okay. Okay. Very, can't say it didn't happen.
Mm.
Yeah. Who knows? Okay, so after that, they bring you to the interrogation room and they interrogate you?
Interrogate me, yes.
On what do they say?
They're pretty much trying to see, like, oh, who's your dealer? You know, where is all this coming from? You know.
Really?
And,
like trying to get an outside source or maybe somebody else in the military with you?
Either way.
Okay.
They didn't have nothing better to do.
Wanted it. Right.
You know, it's just weed, man. Like, come on.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So, from there, then what?
From there, well, this is really where it tumbles downhill. I met with an attorney, shit's going on at home. Me and my wife aren't really getting along that well. She started working at Applebee's, started hanging out with some folks. They say that the best meth comes from Kansas City, Missouri. Mm. She worked with a guy from Kansas City, Missouri who had the best meth. And I could tell something was going on. You know, staying up at night coloring, doing puzzles all night, you know, whack, you know. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting here, you know, just trying to get my orders in line because, I mean, what the hell is going on with me? Like, but anyway.
So while you were going through everything with failing the drug test with the military, she started doing meth with somebody she worked with at Applebee's.
Yeah. Cocaine and meth.
Okay, continue.
All right, so I do a little investigating. And while she's finally asleep one day at noon, I dug through her purse and found a little bag of, I didn't know what it was because I was belligerent. No, that's not the word. Belligerent is like, oblivious to what it could be, yeah. But, so I woke her up and I questioned her and she's like, oh, it's coke, you know, da-da-da. And before I ever joined the military, I always, you know, I don't know, I always just wanted to try things, like, just to see. Never intended on it being a lifestyle or anything, but so I was like, okay, you know, I'm going through the shit right now. I kind of want to try it. You know, she's like, it'll be out of your system in 3 days. I was like, oh, no problem, you know, whatever. Me being stupid, like, you just failed a drug test. You don't think that they're going to re-drug test you, but it was the holidays too. So I was like, oh, you know, they're not in the office through the holidays. It's been weeks. You know, they're not going to do it anytime soon. The next day, I got drug tested.
I don't mean to laugh.
No, it's funny now when I look back because I mean, what the fuck? But no, I failed for cocaine and meth because shortly to come later on, whenever I did get drug tested, she's like, "Well, I didn't tell you, but there was meth in that cocaine," and I was like, "Lovely, great." So they sent me to rehab after that.
Okay. Where?
Lincoln, Nebraska.
Ooh,
where they killed that gay girl for being a boy.
Also where they invented Kool-Aid.
Really?
Yes.
Had no idea.
Anyway, so you're in rehab. All right. What are you thinking when you get there the first day? What's running through your head?
I was really thinking about my dog. I was very worried about my dog. Because I knew that my wife at the time was not fit to take care of him. But I had a girl take care of him, like, she was there, but she was doing drugs too, so I mean, like, I was just very worried. And of course I live in base housing, it was going to get tore up, blah, 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 it did, whatever. Had a great time in rehab, didn't want to leave because I was so scared of what was happening whenever I finally did get out of there. But I finally did get out, and unfortunately went right back to doing drugs.
So where were you in standing with the military at this point? After you got out?
I didn't know. That was what I was so scared about. I didn't know.
Where were you staying?
Excuse me. They had me restricted to base. I couldn't leave base. So that was like part of my sentence after being court-martialed was I was restricted to base, could not leave base to go home, and I could not do anything besides hard labor. They took my beret, they took my badge. I was just out there in a soft cap and fucking uniform.
Wow.
Chipping ice.
Wow.
Shoveling
so
snow.
How long did that last?
30 days. The sentence lasted 30 days before they sent me to rehab because they found out, they kept drug testing me and I kept failing for shit. So they sent me to rehab. And after rehab, I got out and they gave me a little while to like readapt and to figure out what they were going to do. I went back to the hard labor thing and basically scrubbing floors with a toothbrush kind of shit and turning over the rocks so they don't get sunburn on one side. But they didn't court-martial me again. They basically just sent me to my commander, and he was like, look, I can see that you're going through some stuff right now, and I think your best bet is for me to just let you off with a less than honorable discharge. Mm-hmm. Which is kind of a kick in the nuts, because even though, yeah, I messed up and I'd done these things, I was always a good troop. Like I served honorably while I was in. I never strayed from the narrow, I always stayed on the path. Like I did what I was supposed to do. I never got in trouble or anything.
Other than?
Yeah, other than that. And yeah. Which, I was pretty much miserable, so I guess it's just fate. So.
Yeah. Okay, so you get kicked out the military, basically. What happened next?
Well, that was a downhill spiral into what had already become a slight drug addiction. I got really bad. I went from like taking a little toot to like smoking an 8-ball a day, and then my mom and my cousin came up there to help me move down back here. My dad had married this woman, and she had this old house in Slidell. Said that we could move into the house in Slidell, so,
In Louisiana?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was like, cool, whatever, it'll be free. All we got to do is pay the land taxes and the electricity.
Okay.
So I was like, great, cool. And we did that. But, of course, any money that we got just went to drugs. And I'm from White Sin, represent. So I knew where to get drugs at any time. And that's exactly what I did. But I tried to get off of them, when I first came back down here, whatever, but didn't. And little did I know that my mom as well was having her issues. She wasn't just an alcoholic, as I presumed my entire life. It was a little more than that. But she had trouble paying for her car, so she co-signed for me. My car got repossessed. So it was just a struggle. Couldn't find work, really. And the work that I could find, I didn't want to do. I just got out of the military. What do you mean? I don't want to flip a freaking burger. Like, come on. I've been sitting in front of the world's like most important planes for the past 4 years. Like, so it was just rough. But that pretty much went on for years since, like, after we got back down here. But, it ended up getting kind of like bad situation between me and my wife. We both were this big. Like, I had scars all over my face, man. Like, anything that was ever wrong in either of our brains was on, like, go. Like, if we were bipolar, or if we had ADHD, or if blah, 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 it was on go. Like, yeah, we got shit done, not right. And there was 50 other things that we were doing at the same time, so this is half-assed. And rigged. But we never ended up making it anywhere until she ended up, we ended up splitting up because we had, well, I mean, I don't want to like throw anything out there, you know what I mean? Like, but, what do you call that? What do you call that? Infidelity?
Okay.
Is that what it's called? Cheating?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, again, we'll just say cheating. Cheating happened. And a lot of abuse happened, and it was all drug fueled, and, whenever you don't eat and sleep, you, go more crazy. That's why you see all the videos of people on meth that are like gone crazy. It's not because they've done meth. That's not it at all.
Sleep deprived.
They're sleep deprived. They have not eaten. They are in a psychosis. So that's basically what we lived in until she got arrested one night. And from there, she went to rehab. And I would go visit her in rehab because, we were trying to like work it out. She wanted me to get clean. But couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. Like so many people can't. I just couldn't do it. I tried, couldn't do it.
How long did you try?
I mean, yeah, well, we'd say try. But my try was maybe about 2 days since the first day that she got in there and told me that, that's what she wanted for the both of us. And I couldn't do it. So that made me a little more depressed, and I just turned to other drugs, started doing other drugs, trying heroin, doing heroin often. I went up there to visit her a few times on heroin, wore sunglasses so she couldn't tell I was nodding off, like, sad shit, like, should have never happened, should have never been that way, but, things happen the way they're supposed to happen, you learn from them. But, after she got out of, while she was still in rehab, I moved in with one of my good friends now, and because I had to get out of my grandpa's house. He had a stroke, and he was crazy, and my uncle was living there, and it was just no good. Couldn't do it. It was killing me. And working at McDonald's, I mean, good Lord. No offense. No offense. Poplarville McDonald's is one of the best McDonald's, just putting it out there. Because, I mean, don't go to Petal. But, but it was killing me. Like snorting a gram of meth every morning to get up to go to work. And then snorting heroin the whole time I was at work. Along with meth and whatever else I could come across, really. Selling drugs, period. Just to make some money to buy more drugs. And that's where it really gets hard for drug addicts, is where they start coming in contact with other drug addicts. Because where are you going to buy your drugs? Other drug addicts most of the time. And they'll find you a lick. And once you find the lick, man, that's a lick. Period. You're getting more than your money's worth. And what you going to do with it? You're either going to do the extra, or you're going to sell it, or what are you going to do? You're going to do it. What are you going to do? You're going to do it. So eventually, I was making enough money to not even have to sell anymore. I just, sell a little weed on the side, whatever, and just do the drugs. So, buying fucking, just wild, like never in reality, ever. I don't remember most of my life around that time. The past, 5 years are pretty much a blur up until these past 3 years. So, yeah, somewhere around 3 to 4, whatever. Who knows? I'm still an alcoholic, so. But I just look at it like, hey, at least you're not banging drugs or, hot railing shit off tits. I don't know. Whatever.
Okay. Okay, so that active addiction lasted for how long again? With the hardcore stuff.
Roughly 3.5, 4 years, somewhere around there,
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you remember anything during those moments of great significance? Anything that you don't even have to really remember? It's just that time frame. Do you have anything that really stands out that you want to share?
Man,
Feel free to tell more than one.
the one thing that like really stands out when you ask that is like, what is the epitome of being a drug addict? It's everyone around you wanting you to do better, but you can't, and you want to, so you lie about it, basically. And then your life becomes just one big lie, and just trying to fit all your other lies into the lies that you've already told, and then while you're all fucked up, you're still trying to remember all the other lies, you know? So it's just a hole. But the one thing I remember was, and I was so out of it that I couldn't even tell that my family had invited me over for my own, what do you call that? Where they have you all like the intervention. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for my own intervention. And me and my wife were like, wow, everybody's here all together. Like, you know, these people are divorced. They haven't talked to each other in years. Like, and I just started bawling, crying because I was like, wow, you guys are in the same room. Like, how long has this been going on? And they were like, a couple months. And I didn't click until, I swear, it didn't click until like recently, like maybe 2 years after that it was an intervention. And whenever they said a couple months, it's because they had all got together and talked about me, like, because they were so concerned. Like, I'd never been that small in my life. Like, you could just see, you know, like, it's permanent damage, you know. So, I don't know. But from there, you know, my wife did whatever she was going to do whenever she got out of rehab. And I went on with my life. I remember she called me from rehab and was like, you know, I'm not going to be able to do this because you're not able to get clean. So I'm just wanting to let you know that I want a divorce. And I just ate some wild cherries that I'd found where I was living at the moment. And I was like, well, I hope these are choke cherries and I hope they kill me. Because, I mean, that's a big deal. And that's what I would say, you know, that's just like, come on. But I guess it was better than, you know, fighting and all that shit, you know. She'll never forget it. Neither will I. But, you know, we're all good now. And that's another message I would like to spread is unconditional love. Like, me and Taylor have hated each other, I don't know how many times, but, you know, when you tell somebody you love them, you're supposed to mean that you love them. Like, don't tell somebody you love them and not mean it. That shit's supposed to be unconditional. That love means that no matter what that person does, no matter who that person becomes, no matter what they go through, where they go, what they look like, their money status, nothing like that. Unless they, like, kill your kids. But even if Taylor was to kill one of my kids, I would still love Taylor. I would just hate that she done that. But I know Taylor as a person. I still love her soul. Because, I mean, just like, you know, if you are religious, you know, repent for your sins. Because obviously your sins are not you. You are you. You know, if you tell somebody you love them, you can't quit loving them because of whatever reason. So me and my wife, we're still cool. You know, I love her. She loves me. We'll always be cool. Anybody that I've ever told that I love, we'll always be cool. And that a lot of the times they don't see it that way. And I'm still stuck here all in my lonely corner like, hey, I still love you. And they're like, hey, I'm stuck in this three-dimensional world and I don't understand love. So I'm like, okay, cool.
Very true.
Yeah.
So, how long have you been sober? From, obviously not from alcohol, but from everything else?
Well, unlike most addicts, I always had trouble keeping track. And me being an alcoholic, I can't really remember a lot. So I'm working on that as well. You know, it's one step at a time, you know. But they do say, you know, you give up one thing for another, and that's absolutely true. I know it's been at least 2 years at least 2, if not more, from meth, heroin, PCP, angel dust, Molly. Nah, I don't give. None of that shit really matters. But the meth and the heroin, that's the main thing, because none of the other shit really sparked a fancy in me. Just made me sick.
Just the 2 main ones.
Yeah, yeah.
The 2 main no-nos.
Yeah. But boy, I mean, is life different after the fact?
Yeah, so talk about that.
Well, my entire childhood, like I said, I grew up with alcoholics. I never wanted to be an alcoholic. I never wanted to be a smoker. I never wanted to be anything like the negative parts of people that I've seen, and especially the ones that affected me the most. And unfortunately, it comes to be that most of us end up being a lot like the people we despise the most, especially our parents, especially if you're around them, a lot, those people. And so I do drink a lot now. And, a lot of addicts look at it like, oh, well, at least I'm not doing this and this. And that's true. At least you're not. But at the same time, you're still killing yourself, You're still killing yourself. But this shit, alcohol you can buy from a store. It's completely legal. Most everyone does it. Everyone knows about it. It's not something where it's like, you could go up to a little kid and be like, meth, and they'll be like, what's meth? I have no idea what meth is. But if you say, like, a beer, they're going to be like, oh, yeah, a beer. Alcohol. I don't know what that is. Yeah, because it's widely known. It's widely available, readily available. So that's another one, that eventually will hopefully subside. But on the part of not doing drugs anymore, you'll never be the same. I can't say that I'm any less than I ever was. I'd honestly say that I'm more than I would have ever dreamt to have been. And that's no way glorifying drugs at all, but it's just the path that I had to walk that made my feet calloused enough to be able to not be so worried about stepping on splinters here and there. So, all the other people out here, I hate to say it, but pussyfooting around on the hot asphalt, my feet are pretty tough. Like, I'm be able to walk on it a little bit longer than you will. And I feel like, like that movie about the dude with the multiple personalities, Split.
Yeah.
How at the end of the movie he's like, the broken are the most evolved. It's true. They really are. You can either let it break you and hold you down, or you can rise above it and become more than you ever could imagine. I would have never thought 5 years ago that I would be competent enough even to sit here and have this conversation with you. Like, I wouldn't think that I would be able to focus long enough to have this. Or sit still. I've sat in the same spot and I didn't even realize for this long. Like, now that I think about it, I feel like I need to switch legs, but it's fine.
We're going on 38 minutes here.
But it's just a big, like, thing that I wish could be more talked about. Because I think the problem is, like, it's so shied away from that whenever people do discover it, they don't know anything about it. So they don't know how bad it is unless you've, like, watched your family go through it. And most of the time you watch your family go through it and then you end up doing it anyway. But, if you were taught literally, just like, what does it look like? And even, I know it sounds terrible probably, but like, the main thing is figuring out what's real and what's not. If you're going to do it, you need to know, like, because they're putting so much shit in shit now. Like, I'm not condoning, don't do it. But, like, that's the main thing that's killing people is getting all the fake stuff, like, and of course you shouldn't do it at all. You never even, think about doing it. But if you do, like, at least don't die. Like, fuck. Be smart enough to, like, know what you're doing if you're going to do it. And,
But doesn't that kind of come with the territory, not having any sense?
Yeah, it does. But I was always very careful. I always did the street ways to test, pretty much foolproof ways to test. I wouldn't say foolproof, but they were pretty reliable ways to test. Just because I was always scared. And like I had a friend in Florida not too long ago overdosed like 6 times in a row. And now he's like, kind of brain dead, thinking he was getting dog food and he got fentanyl, so I don't know. It's just like, I was working at this 24-hour gas station here in Pompeyville. Man, I seen like some of our star football players come in there at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock, all throughout the night, buying glass roses, meth pipes. And I couldn't even recognize them until I had them hand me their license. And I was like, are you kidding me? I cannot believe this is you. And it was more than one, more than 5 of the popular people that I went to school with, that everybody looked up to and everybody thought was the coolest. And they had, the nicest clothes, nicest cars, nicest bodies, nicest, whatever. Now you look like shit and you don't have shit. And, you might not ever again. Who knows? I've only seen a handful recover. I mean, and that's just close friends to me. All the other ones now, I don't know. I have no idea. I've only seen more and more of it happen. It's not getting any better.
More and more victims.
Absolutely. And more and more lives taken from it, too. Just the association fact of it, too. The people and how crazy they become. And especially now with everything, prices of everything. And you think the price of drugs is not going to go up with that? Making them more valuable? Making people more angry whenever you fuck them over? Or, it all comes with the territory. All of it. Scariest situations I've ever been in is trying to buy drugs or find drugs or do drugs, and, and not get caught. Be in crazy ass situations. Hell, I've got friends, and you do too, that have just been in terrible, terrible situations, and even bringing their kids into it. And that's where a line has to be drawn. Really, I wish that young people at least, would get together and try to help each other more than judge each other like they do. Because, you can share stuff on Facebook all day about, oh, that's methed up, or, whatever, but you're not out here giving a shit about them. And you went to school with these people. Your children will go to school with their children eventually. And you don't think that, little Timmy is going to have some issues growing up with his fucked up parents. And maybe your kid tries to be nice to him, and he beats the hell out of him just for trying to be nice to him, because he doesn't know any better. He doesn't know what nice is, because he had to grow up like this. Your kid asks him, hey man, you wanna trade some tots for a chicken tender? And that kid freaking beats the hell out of your kid and steals his whole plate. Because, what the hell is he going to eat over the weekend? It's not a joke. People make it a joke all the time. You're like, oh man, look at them. They're all twacked out on the side of the road. Man, won't help them. Would you do the same to a poor puppy? Everybody's talking about moving turtles out of the road. Okay, great.
Get your friends out of the rut.
Get your friends out of the line of fire. They're in no man's land right now. They don't even know who they are, why they are, where they are.
So what would you say about the phrase, you can't help people that don't want to be helped?
You certainly can't. But a lot of the people that don't want to be helped because they are in fear of judgment or ridicule or...
what comes with the help.
Yeah, or, disciplinary actions that they don't want to take. They don't want to go to rehab. Nobody wants to go to rehab. They definitely don't want to get arrested, which a lot of the times, happens.
And rehab isn't even in the question then?
Yeah. So, yeah, you can't help somebody that doesn't want to be helped. There are people out there that just would rather live that life. And I mean, and that comes to say that there are functional addicts too. Because I mean, the last couple years of my addiction was I was a functional addict. I went to work. I did everything. Nobody knew, you know. Like, I lived a normal life for the most part. But it would be like, sometimes you can't find the shit. What's going to happen then? You going to be able to get up to go to work? Maybe. If you can drag yourself in there. And then are you going to last the day? Maybe. Without having a breakdown? Highly doubtful. If you even made it in. So, that goes to say, are you going to wake up the next day? So, in order to help get off drugs, a lot of people will start drinking or taking, you know, like they got this new kratom shit out there. Even that. I mean, you can become addicted to anything. Mm-hmm. I could have been like, you know what, I don't want to do drugs anymore. I think I'll just start eating a lot. Which, I mean, of course, every speed demon does whenever they're done. I mean, you can't get enough. I was shoving M&Ms up my nose because I couldn't fit enough in my mouth. Like, but it all boils down to, you know, you got to have a head on your shoulders. And a lot of people don't, because if you don't have anybody telling you what a good head is, and then you're just seeing what you see. You just got to guess. The same way with like religion and all that shit. If you don't know, then you got to guess. Like, if nobody tells you anything about anything, but you're out here just hearing all this stuff, you got to guess. The same way with an addict. Like, of course you want help, especially when you're a functional addict. Like, you're sitting there like wanting to beg for help, but then again, nobody knows. And that's, I feel like, is the hardest addict to be. Because the ones that are strung out and all scabby and skinny and cracked out and twacked out, and you could tell, those are the ones that are going to be harder to help. Yeah. Because then you got to get them back to reality first. But then the functional addicts, for the most part, are in reality. But they're not on a level to which they can comprehend that they can even live without it. Because at this point, it's just like coffee in the morning. Mm-hmm. And that's what is like the hardest to come back from, is just you don't know how to function without it. Like, if you're strung out, you're just strung out. You just want it all the time because you're strung out. Like, you just got to have it. It's like what's keeping me happy. It's what keeping me alive. Like, I don't have anything to eat. I don't have any money to eat, so I just got to keep getting high kind of shit. But functional addict is going to cook dinner. It's going to wake up, brush their teeth. Maybe drink a cup of coffee. Hell, if it doesn't give them the shakes after tooting a line, you know, or smoking a bowl or taking a bang, whatever the hell they're going to do. But it's one of those things that you just can't get up and go to work. Like, some people are addicted to Red Bull, you know.
So what is if you had to, you know how when we graduated they made us put a quote by our senior quote? Okay. Instead of a quote, if you had to say anything about the active addiction lifestyle, what would you say?
That's a tough one. Because, you know, I could say all the things that have already been said. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. Mm-hmm. You'll work through it. You just gotta have faith. Works if you work it and you want it bad enough, hey. But really, it's just, you've just got to see something other than yourself. Because addiction is really just self-loathing, self-pity, a dependence on something because you think that you're not great enough to do it on your own. And that's what a lot of people don't realize, is you are. even if you're not, you will be. Because the more you do something, the better are you get, you know? So, really just giving yourself a chance rather than relying on something to do it for you, to make you better, to make you stronger, to make you smarter, quicker, faster, better, stronger. You know what I mean? So, you just got to be able to feel. And that's the whole thing about addiction is feelings. So-and-so did me this way, so now I feel like I just need to drown my sorrows, or, you know, I need to mask it in some way. And a lot of people with, like, opiate addiction, they have pain and shit. But there's, like, so many other ways to deal with that. There's literally a lettuce that you can eat, you know? There's, like, so many other things. There's a freaking flower that you can make a tea out of that's just, like, snorting a bump of Coke. Like, and it grows wild.
So, since you have found yourself in somewhat of recovery, because we can't say you're recovered, what is your life like now?
Humble. I try to stay away from chaos as much as possible, so I only go to Walmart when I have to. And, because I hate that place, I swear. It's like the most chaotic place ever. Like, chaos is one thing that I feel like a speed demon just seeks out. Or if they don't, it comes to them. And I think we know that for a fact. But it's humble. I have a garden. I take care of my dog. We're both fat and happy. We don't want for nothing. Take care of our shit when it needs to be taken care of. Show up for work. Got a promotion. You know, have my own things. I don't need anyone, you know. And throughout my addiction and all the other things, I've driven a lot of people away. Family members even, you know. Like, things will never be the same. I will never be looked at the same. I'll never be judged the same, even in town. You know, even my hometown. People see me and they're like, oh yeah, you know, she went through that thing, you know. It's never just like, oh, look at that, it's Paige, the, you know, girl from Poplarville that was in band and been fat and happy her whole life and done things right, and oh, she's just succeeding so well. Sweet little Pentecostal girl. Nope, didn't end up like that. So, you know, didn't end up like that, pal. She didn't end up like it. But I wouldn't change it. I would not change it because I would not have the appreciation for life and people and myself the way that I do now. And that's the main thing, is just being able to be happy with yourself and happy with what you have, even if you don't have a lot or it's not the best of things, and always striving to do better and be great to people and to yourself and to the world around you, because I mean, every day is a gift. It's gifted to you. It doesn't have to happen. It could be taken away at any moment. But it was literally gifted to you. Your day. Everybody else has a day too, and they're going to coincide with your day. Your day is your day. And no matter what anybody does around you, what happens around you, it doesn't matter. As long as you control your emotions, your mind, your feelings, that's the only thing you can control. You can't control anything else in life. It's just your emotions, your mind, how you're going to react to the world around you. Don't get pissed off and go do drugs or go get fucked up or run your car off a bridge or some shit like that. Just take it what it is. Trial and error. That's every day. If you can't learn something new every day about yourself or the world around you or other people, then why are you even living? That's what it's about. Knowledge is power.
Thank you, Paige.
Yep.
You have anything else you want to add to that?
I guess for the people of Poplarville, there's not much to do around here.
How about we say Mississippi in general?
Well, yeah, I guess, maybe. Well, I don't know. I wouldn't say Mississippi in general. And I haven't been to all the places in Mississippi.
Not much out there.
Yeah, true. But even where I live now, Petal and Hattiesburg, there's more to do in one block than there is to do in all of Poplarville.
Facts.
So maybe if anybody important watches this, hopefully, the next building that becomes abandoned might be something recreational instead of another church. Maybe a vacant lot might become something recreational for the youth, something useful. There's a lot more to do. Now, like I said, knowledge is power. So don't spend your time with your friends getting drunk, getting high, partying like we all did. Sure, do it, but do it responsibly. Don't do meth. Don't do heroin. More importantly, don't do meth because it's abundant in this area, and it's an epidemic, worse than COVID. And just learn something new. Go fishing. Climb a tree. Get off your phone. Find out what plants you can eat and what plants you can't. Ask your grandma and great-grandma and great-grandpa and whoever, uncle, aunt, stuff about their lives that you might never ask to think. Your mom and dad, what did you want to be when you grew up? What was your dreams, Ask questions that you don't know. Seek out answers to anything. Question everything. Because that's all that life is about. And I guess that's it. For now, at least. I'm sure more will come to mind.
Part 2 coming soon. Thank you, Paige.
Thank you.